Begin at 5 o'clock with breaking news. A judge has sentenced Michelle Carter to prison for urging her boyfriend to take his own life.
The judge's decision coming a short time ago during a very emotional hearing. Juvenile court judge Lawrence Moniz issuing Carter a 15-month prison term plus probation.
But Carter will not be jailed just yet. Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado was in the courtroom. She is live in Taunton now with more details and reaction. Steph.
Well, Michelle Carter was sentenced to jail time, but she will not serve it until all her appeals are heard. The judge granting what's called a stay of her sentence until those appeals happen.
Now sentences you to 2.5 years in the Bristol County House of Correction.
Michelle Carter stands as Judge Lawrence Moniz sentences her to 2.5 years behind bars with 15 months to serve and probation after that. But then the judge granting the defense a motion to delay sending her to jail until after she appeals her manslaughter conviction.
The conviction may be reversible, but the time spent in prison is not.
The sentencing began with emotional victim impact statements from the family of Conrad Roy III, whose death this case concerns.
Coco was sensitive, loving, intelligent, compassionate.
Carter has been convicted of causing him to die by convincing him to kill himself using a generator in his pickup truck in a Fairhaven parking lot in 2014.
Michelle Carter exploited my son's weaknesses and used him as a pawn in her own well-being.
The prosecution had asked for 7 to 12 years behind bars out of a possible 20-year sentence. But the defense said jail time would not rehabilitate Carter, asking for just probation with mental health treatments. Assistant District Attorney Mary Claire Flynn's take on the end of this case.
We hope that the trial, in the very least, brought more awareness to the complex issues of technology in our society, the way our words can impact one another, and the way that we treat each other.
So again, Michelle Carter will not go to jail today or in the immediate future. The judge granting that stay on her sentence, which means she will be able to exhaust all of her state appeals before her jail sentence begins. The DA tells me that could take up to 18 months, but would likely be quicker. Now, coming up new at 6, we'll hear from Michelle Carter's defense attorney. Reporting live in Taunton, I'm Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.
We begin with breaking news in a disturbing case that's gotten national attention.
A young woman convicted of manslaughter in her teenage boyfriend's death is sentenced.
This afternoon, a judge ordered Michelle Carter to serve 15 months behind bars, but allowed her to remain free while she appeals.
Carter was found guilty of causing 18-year-old Conrad Roy's death by sending him text messages encouraging him to go through with killing himself. Now new at 6, one of Roy's relatives is reacting to this sentence.
Eyewitness News reporter Steph Machado was on top of the trial every step of the way, and she joins us live now from Taunton with these breaking details. Steph?
Well, Michelle Carter decided not to speak on her own behalf at her sentencing, but her defense attorney insists she regrets her actions. The judge did sentence her to prison time, but she won't have to go to jail until after this groundbreaking case is appealed. Michelle Carter entering court in Taunton today, not knowing if she would be free to go at the end of the day. The judge who convicted her of manslaughter in June, handing down her sentence.
Now sentences you to 2.5 years in the Bristol County House of Correction.
Judge Lawrence Moniz ruling Carter will serve 15 months of her sentence behind bars, but not quite yet. He granted a stay, allowing her to remain free as she appeals the case.
What kind of justice got served today?
The fiance of Conrad Roy III's aunt speaking out after the decision.
She gets to go home tonight into her nice home and whatever. She got to stay in Massachusetts. She could be at Six Flags tomorrow. You know, what kind of justice is that?
While we are certainly disappointed that the judge chose to stay the sentence, we remain, as we always have, steadfast in our belief that Michelle Carter committed involuntary manslaughter and needs to be held accountable.
The prosecution had asked for 7 to 12 years in prison. Michelle Carter's defense attorney says Carter is relieved to be going home and explained what his appeal strategy will be.
To argue that the law that Massachusetts does not have an assisted suicide or an encouragement of suicide law in place, and it's violative of the First Amendment.
And that defense attorney also said Michelle Carter is hoping to become a real estate agent when all of this is over. So just to recap, she is currently free with some conditions until all of her state appeals are exhausted, all the way up to the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts. The DA said that could take about 18 months, and only if she loses those appeals would she go to jail. Live in Taunton, I'm Steph Machado, Eyewitness News.